For this workshop, I was inspired by some of the prints on display in the Edo in Colour exhibition at the Chester Beatty, especially the ones depicting art that would be displayed on a typical folding fan. I'm going to show you how I made this light-up paper fan using simple paper circuits. It is possible to buy small flat strips of LEDs from electronic shops, but I found it's fairly handy to find some in Euro shops or old Christmas decorations. If you look closely at this Euro store decoration, you can see that there are strips of LED lights inside. This is what it looks like when I've taken it out of the frame. As you may be able to make out, it has the plus and minus sign beside each connection pad. This will be useful later. I'm also going to be using these cheap Christmas lights that I found in a bargain store. They look something like this. I'm simply going to snip off a few LEDs from the end of the string. But let's start off with the simple stuff. I'm going to take a sheet of A4 paper and fold it in half horizontally. Next, I will cut the paper in half along the fold. Then I will make an accordion fold. I'm going to take my lollipop stick and make a mark on my paper to make sure my folds are not wider than the width of the lollipop stick. And I'm going to measure out each fold to make sure that they stay the same size as I go along the paper. To make the accordion fold, I'm folding one narrow strip on the edge of the paper and then flipping the paper over and folding it back on itself. Then this step is repeated until all of the paper looks like this. Repeating this with the other strip of paper, I will now connect the two so that I have one long strip of paper. Next, I am adding some embellishment to the paper. I've decided to draw a field and some trees, but abstract patterns or flowers would also work very well. For the next step, I will take a lollipop stick and cover about 2/3 of it with glue. I will now place it on the end of the paper, leaving about a ½ an inch at the very top, like so. After folding the paper back together, I'm now going to stick the second lollipop stick to the other side in the same manner. It should look something like this. Flattening the paper as best as possible, I'm going to take my conductive tape and I will begin to map out my circuit. I'm going to place a line of conductive tape along the bottom edge of my paper, making sure that it reaches over onto the lollipop stick on one side. We'll also place a line across the top of my paper and down the left-hand side of the left lollipop stick. In this circuit, the top line is going to be the positive line and the bottom line will be the negative line. Next, I'm going to glue down my LED. I'm going to make sure that the positive side of the connection points upwards towards the positive line in the circuit. I will make sure to also place all of my LEDs along the top half of the fan, as the bottom half of the fan will mostly remain folded, even when open. To repurpose this LED wire, I'm going to sand off the edges like so that the conductive wire inside will have a better connection. These kind of LEDs don't tell us which is the positive or negative wire, so I'm going to test it out using one of the small batteries that I'm using for this project. When I've figured out which leg is positive and which is negative, I'm going to take a scissors and cut the negative leg of the LED a little bit shorter so that I will remember. Next I'm going to glue down this LED with the negative leg facing down and the positive leg facing up. I'm going to make some connections here using electrical paint, but it is also possible to make these connections with the conductive copper tape too. Another option is to use tinfoil instead of conductive tape, as it is also conductive. But using electrical paint or conductive tape is quite a bit easier to work with. Electrical or conductive paint is a very versatile material to use in DIY electronic projects and making simple circuits. Here is what it looks like when all of the LEDs are connected to the positive and negative lines in the circuit. Next, I'm going to fold the fan back onto itself. This ½ inch or so of paper at the top now needs to be secured. I'm going to use some electrical tape and wrap it around the paper. Here I'm going to connect the resistor that came with the LEDs inside the LED strip. I'm going to put it just before the positive side of the battery. Next, I'm going to take the lollipop stick connected to the negative line, and on the outside of this lollipop stick, I'm going to place the negative side of one of my coin batteries. You can see which side is positive on the battery as it has a plus sign. I'm going to secure it with some electrical tape to hold the batteries in place, making sure that there's still some exposed surface for the batteries to connect. Next, I'm going to extend the copper wire on the other lollipop stick so that it reaches around to the outer edge. This is our positive side. So I'm going to connect the next battery on the outside of this leg. I'm going to place it with the positive side facing down. This way, when the fan is opened, these two batteries will meet and complete the circuit, and the LEDs will light up. So the closed fan will look something like this. And then as I open the fan up and hold the lollipop sticks together, the LEDs will turn on.